Okay, hello. Thank you for watching this video. This video is just a quick guide to give you some of the highlights and some user tips and tricks as to how to use the new MyIntegra's support coordinator dashboard. So this has been developed in conjunction with feedback from support coordinators and just generally with a view to be able to give you more insights, more information, and in a way that's accessible to you. So, for example, previous feedback we'd had been saying that it was difficult to maybe get to certain information in a few clicks. So this has been redesigned to be able to give you access to more information in lesser clicks and give you some more additional features as well. So as you can see here, we're looking at a test version for obvious reasons of a support coordinator dashboard. So when you log in, you will see something similar to this in terms of screen layout. But obviously the data will be specific to you and the participants that you are linked to in the system. So the way I describe this is I look at the information on the left of the screen and on the right side of the screen. So on the left, we have what we call a scatter plot graph. And on this graph, what we have is many different bubbles you can see. So the placement, the size, and the color of the bubbles all mean specific things. So each of the bubbles is representative of a participant's budget. So this is representative of a participant's budget that this support coordinator is linked to. So the number of budgets on here are the number of clients that the support coordinator is linked to. The size of the budget indicates the total value of the participant's budget. So I can hover over these here, for example. This is Arlene, and at the bottom you can see this budget is about $18,000. If I go to a larger bubble over here, we have Brandon, and you can see at the bottom that's $285,000. So that's what the different size of them means. The placement and the color of the bubbles, we have this legend at the bottom. So there's kind of these ones in this blue area here, indicative of ideal spend. So they're currently on track to be coming into that range where the spend of their plan is ideal. That's where we want it to be, which is good. We have these kind of grey ones at the bottom, which are indicative of low spend, so people who are at risk of underspending their plans. And then we, in this top area here, there are none here, but I'll show how that will display in the later in this video. They would display in yellow here, and that would indicate somebody who is at risk of overspending their plan. So that's how this graph kind of works and what you're seeing when you look at that when you first log in. I'll come back to it in a bit, but first, just to go on to the right side, you can see first of all, we have the display of all the support categories here. So these are a list of all the support categories that are within the budgets of the participants that this support coordinator is linked to. So these are all of the support categories as you would expect for these people. And then you can see next to each of them, there is a bar chart next to them. And what this is telling you, so if I look at improved daily living, for example, at the bottom, we have this kind of, as I describe it, like a dark blue, medium blue, and lighter blue. So, and again, we have another legend at the bottom to indicate what you're looking at here, but the darker blue is the total amount that is invoiced. The middle is reserved remaining. So for those of you who aren't aware, MyIntegra has the ability to reserve funding in a participant's budget. So that could be, for example, when you negotiate a service agreement with a provider, if yourself or the provider sends a copy of that to us, we will ring fence or reserve those funds as stipulated in the service agreement within that budget. It could still be changed, it's still flexible, participant choice is obviously still there, but it's just a way to give everybody peace of mind and oversight as to how much funds are available and how much of it has been allocated. It's basically our way of trying to proactively mitigate overspend situations from happening where there's not enough insufficient funds to pay for an invoice. That is a situation that we are trying to avoid at all costs. So this is our way of trying to mitigate that. And then the lightest blue is unreserved remaining. So this is truly what funds that are available. They have not been spent, nor are they currently allocated to a provider to be spent. And then to the right, you've basically got the same information, but rather at a support category level, you're looking at it at a total budget level. So for this support coordinator, all of the participants they are linked to, the total of all those budgets is $3.1 million. And then you can see as a percentage how those funds are broken up by total invoiced, reserved remaining, and unreserved remaining. I should also just mention at the top for both of these two graphs on the right, you're able to switch from a percentage to a dollar value, and that will redisplay to give you that information as well. So that's useful information, I think, at a high level, but it's probably going to be more useful for you to be able to see this information at a participant level. That's maybe more the reason that you're logging in to get that information. So in order to do that, you could be looking at Gladys here, for example, on the left, this bubble. Oh, I really want to see Gladys's budget. What's her information? So if you just select the bubble for Gladys here, you'll see everything just dynamically redisplays here on the right-hand side, and we are now seeing information specifically to Gladys. So we've only got the 5 support categories displaying here. That's because those are the 5 which are in Gladys's budget that we are plan managing on her behalf. And then for each of these, again, you've got the breakdown by reserved, total invoiced, and unreserved. And then on the right, you've got the information by the total budget as well. So that kind of, this is what I was talking about, and being able to get access to information without having to click around multiple times. So that's great. There's Gladys. If you click Gladys again, we'll go back up to that high level where everything displays. We can have a look at Brandon. Let's have a look at Brandon's budget. Same thing again, everything redisplays, and you see Brandon's specific information. I'll just click on that again. It's also possible, though, that you're logging in and you're, rather than looking around here, you're specifically wanting to look for a particular person, and you're not sure which of these bubbles is the person you're looking for. So in that circumstance, we have this drop down at the top, participant name. If I select this drop down, oh yeah, I really wanted to see Angel's budget, just select Angel from that list, and then everything will redisplay here and give you that information specifically to Angel. Again, you could go and see, oh, I want to see Ashley's budget, and then again, everything will redisplay. So it's pretty straightforward in that sense. I'll just click on Ashley again, and we'll come back up to that high level. And then also we have the ability to see by support category how all participants are doing. So it may be a case where you want to see how are all my participants tracking on their social and community participation budget. So you can just select that from this drop down, and then everything redisplays. We can now see the graph on the left has changed. That's because we are only looking at we're looking at all participants, but only at their social and community participation budget. And that's why you've got some of the yellow ones now displaying here. Some feedback we've had and a change we want to make is to include, to be able to look at this at core supports at that higher level, because funds are obviously flexible within core support. So it's probably going to be a more useful way to look at that information. So that's a change that's coming. I'll just click on this again. We'll come back up to that high level. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was just below is now where we store the invoices information. And again, this is coming back to reducing the number of clicks that you need to make. So before you would have to go into different pages to find this information. This is the home page you get now. All this information is here on the first page. So, and this is exactly as you would imagine it would work. You're able to filter by the dates, the participants, the providers, or search an invoice number. And then you're able to click into an invoice to then see information specifically about that invoice. So the line item details, a copy of the PDF, if we've received the invoice by PDF, that's where you'd be able to see that information as well. So that's a quick tour of some of the highlights. We are always welcoming feedback. and ideas for ways that things can improve. There are more things coming, and we'll continue to share that information when it comes, but please consider the door always open for ideas, feedback, thoughts, any of that stuff. Our email address is choiceandcontrol@myintegra.com.au. We've included on this page some frequently asked questions, or some questions that we received in doing webinars. If there's anything not there that you would like to know the answer to, please let us know. Any ideas, or if you'd like to schedule a private session like this for just your organization, then we can do that as well. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and we'll speak to you soon.